Hello.
There's Hamel.
Hey, Jeff. Thought I, is this you're doing it or am I running the meeting?
I have no idea.
Okay, I had it ready, but okay.
Okay,
Let me do this. I think you did January.
go ahead. I'll take some notes then in the.
Yeah, I think if you can. Thanks. So hey, morning everyone. Uh, Welcome to our monthly meeting. This is second of the year. I'm gonna share here if you can see our agenda. Today, this meeting will be recorded. We will have some pass downs. We have an update to go over. We have charter discussion on a couple of work streams. And then we have other work stream updates. Anything else to be added to the agenda?
Hey, Jeff and Himal, this is Bhushan from Microsoft. Is my point also part of this list? I'm not able to decipher where it would be covered.
Yeah, I thought, did we not, is it not on that list?
It's I don't see if we can add it here.
Yeah,
What is the topic?
We can
So
probably address it in the Charter for Hardware Management.
Yeah,
Thank you.
which is
fourth bullet.
the fourth bullet. Okay. Okay, then I think it's part of that here. And we are going to go over this presentation. John, this is your link, right? The one we have created. So we'll go over that.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so that should cover it, Bhushan.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I have one more open, Amal.
Yes.
There was one more topic that I sent to you regarding the Pro type IDs used in the OCP Pro devices.
Okay. Can we? Yeah, that's.
Yeah,
Can I edit it then?
up above those other updates though.
Okay. All right.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. All right, so that is for the agenda. Let's start with that. First, John, do you have anything on the pass down side? Wanna go?
No, not that, now that the abstracts have closed for regional. We're required until the responses get back, so.
Okay. All right, thanks. So I'll just say no update. Or Jeff, you're adding notes, or do you want me to?
Yeah, I will, but
Okay, then I'll stop after this. You can add.
So
You can-
so I thought the next topic was going to be the creation of this true ID document. Can we make that the third bullet before these updates of these work registries?
sure.
We can move it.
Yeah, because it should be, it's pretty straightforward.
It'll be quick. Okay, while Jeff is moving it, Casper, do you want to give quick background and then we can close?
Yeah, sure. Let me maybe share the spreadsheet. Oh, maybe that will be easier.
Okay, I'll stop sharing.
All right, so we have a few devices in OCP specifications that are following the identification of this OCP of the compliance with the respective OCP specification by use of the through EPROMs on those devices, and those specifications include OCP NIC. The CSCM 2.0 defines such through EPROM content for HPM through, so not specifically for the CSCM module, but for the compliant HPM boards that it connects to. There's also an update to OCP NIC 1.5 that adds more content in those through devices definitions, and there's also the MHS CRPS specification for PSUs that also follows the same scheme. The scheme that is being followed in those through EPROM definitions is following IPMI through specifications and the use of the multi-record entries in that through, and the multi-record entries that we use can be identified by what is called what is called in the IPMI specification a type ID. So you use a multi-record region in the through EPROM, and you identify your specific entry that you're interested in by the type ID. So the way that has been defined in those specs at OCP is a combination of two identifiers. So we use the OCP IANA number, which is defined here 00A67F, with a combination of type ID that are reserved for OEM by the IPMI spec. So we kind of follow the methodology of identifying the OCP compliant devices by saying, hey, this is manufacturer ID here is OCP, and type ID is as follows. And by following this method, you can identify that this device is compliant with OCP NIC spec, or this device is compliant with DCSCM specification or CRPS. Maybe there are others as well, but those are the ones that I'm familiar with. So the problem is that there's no central way of allocating those type IDs within the OCP devices. And as a result, we already have an overlap between those type IDs that emerged recently. The first one was, I think, was OCP NIC. Then the CSCM, we allocated C1. But later on, because of no coordination, OCP NIC started adding new definitions under C1 and C2. So there's already an overlap between DCSCM and OCP NIC, and in the meantime, CRPS started using C2, which OCP NIC started using as well. So the bottom line is that in order to correctly identify the devices that are compliant with OCP spec using this methodology, we need to have a centralized way of allocating and keeping track of those IDs and making sure that that there's no overlap and those are unique within OCP devices. And the recommendation I got from John Young was to request hardware management to keep track of those allocations as a one source of truth and one project that handles all of that. So that's the request here that I'm trying to make, and created the spreadsheet to start as a starting point.
Yeah, so I think it makes sense for us to maintain it. Where is this current spreadsheet is at? Have you put it somewhere?
Yeah, it's currently on the
Yeah.
DCSCM G drive, but it's accessible for everyone. So I sent a link to you in the email. I can put it in the chat window as well.
Yeah, I think let's so we can add that. Let me ask the group, anybody sees any issue with this project maintaining this spreadsheet?
Well, I think we should maintain it. We should also create a process for allocation. So the
Yes.
next person who comes by and wants one, they can
Is it?
just send mail to you or just send mail to. We don't need to have a meeting for this, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
If this
So
is
the process for the allocation is it will get
Yeah.
allocated by this project.
right. And so maybe the project leads can have direct access to this spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Make the allocation, make the entry.
Yep. So Jeff, if you can add that note also in the. Okay.
All right, that's it. Thank
All
you.
right. Thanks, Casper. So let me share agenda again. So we captured the note on that creation of OCP Flu ID document. That topic is done. Next one is update from server component resilience workstream. Do we have Tiago here?
Hello, Tiago here. Can you hear me?
Yes. Are you going to share a presentation?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Let me stop sharing. Go ahead.
Okay, give me just a second. And this should be, where is my presentation? I just had it open. Here we go. Can you see this? Amber is
Yes.
here from Google. I'll be very, very brief. We just wanted to give a quick update on how we are and what's coming ahead for us. So summary of 2024, where our membership is still 7 companies, 3 hyperscalers and 4 silicon vendors. We achieved 1.0 specification in September last year. I've set the links here, and I'll share the presentation with everybody. I sent to the chairs, and let me know if you want me to upload to specific Google Drive or something. Yeah, the links are here. We have the editable version as well, but it's been published on opencomputer.org. We've also been present at a couple of sessions at conferences, the Global Summit. We had a half session alongside a synopsis on the problem of compute resiliency and what we're doing and what they're doing. So this, what presented then is also some of what the summary of what we're doing here. We've been present at the Reliability, Availability, and Serviceability IEEE Summit earlier in the year. It was June, I think, where I specifically presented what was on the specification 1.0, the draft by then. It's been published since. Several of our members were also present in the RAS Summit, presenting other techniques and the software that we're using. So the conference itself was a pretty big success. I didn't write it here, but we also had 3 of our silicon vendors come to the IOLTS, IEEE conference, on International Online Testing Symposium, I think that's what it stands for, in July, and interacting with academics. That's the other thing that we've been doing. We launched an academic engagement funding 6 different universities. It's the first of a kind inside OCP, where the company's pulled some money into OCP, and OCP is managing the relationship and making what's called, I think it's an unrestricted donation to those companies, to those universities, and they are doing some work. I'm going to come back to that in a second. A couple of links here on what we call for proposals. So what are we planning for 2025? We don't expect to do an update in the specification. The spec 2.0 is aimed for later. We may begin some draft work, but we're not expecting to publish still this year. What we are expecting to publish is a white paper on the impact of defects on GPU and AI accelerators, both in training and in inference. We want to start with best practices, the effects of defects, how they can propagate to results. Do they occur? Do they occur in meaningful quantities? What happens if you do have corruption in training and then you infer on it? What can you do to mitigate it? So we expect a draft coming soon. We were hoping to publish it by the regional summit in April. We're not going to be, I don't think any of our companies are going to be present at the regional summit. So this is just a minor deadline for us to publish as well. And we do expect the university engagement to continue for a second year. We're going to review year 1 and decide which of the universities we are going to continue funding, if we're going to open to other ones or drop any. So we're still TBD on how many, because we're still waiting for the member companies in our work stream to decide how much money they are able to contribute. So here's the list of the academic engagements. The 6 universities we are engaging with right now. The majority of the work here is with CPU resiliency, but we are beginning already with AI. There's 2 of the session, the engagements are about telemetry on an AI and understanding the impact. So, for example, the University of Chicago impact of AI failures in AI and ML accelerators is going to be quite handy once we publish our white paper. Yeah, so that was it. Are there any questions for me or for Amber here?
If you, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, question regarding membership. So is this a CLA group, and is it open or closed?
It's private.
Yes, thank you, Amber.
So yeah, so it continues to be. It's the 7 companies, the 3 hyperscalers, and 4 silicon vendors.
Okay, thank you.
We look forward to any feedback on what we've been delivering.
And what is the mechanism for that feedback? Is there a specific alias or a specific person that feedback should go through?
Alias, Tiago, I don't think you included it on the
I did not.
on here.
Yeah.
But we can.
Yeah,
I'll find it in the chat window, and that's what we've been putting on all the presentations we've been delivering, and we haven't really seen a lot of feedback, but we're happy to receive any, and excited for how we can help the industry on SDC.
So I've heard about this feedback agreement. Does that need to be signed before this feedback is provided?
My opinion is, so that feedback agreement was driven was spearheaded from the storage project that I used to co-lead. In that domain, the current co-leads and IC committee chair, they felt like they were worried if they got substantial feedback from suppliers on the OCP data center and VME spec, that they were worried about using that feedback and having some encumbrance legally of, was that feedback okay to include? My opinion, and I'm not a lawyer, is if people have minor feedback, I think if they just want to send us email in the alias, that's fantastic. If it's more substantive feedback where there could be any question about IP encumbrance, right? And whether we can use the feedback effectively, then that's where the feedback form is really helpful, and why the feedback form that OCP worked with Samsung and the OCP project lead chairs to put that in place. But Bijan and Michael and others on the call can correct me from the foundation.
No need. You stated it really eloquently. Typically, John, the contributors will invite you to provide feedback, and then that's when you would execute that feedback CLA.
Yeah, what they've
So-
been doing in the storage context, just so people know, is the customers. There's 5 customers that are on the CLA. They've been starting to host monthly meetings with suppliers that have executed that feedback agreement, so they can have more open and deeper dialogues where desired.
So I'm just a little confused. So Bijan, you says by invitation, then you sign this feedback agreement. And Amber said if you have any feedback, provide it, and the contributor decides whether it's substantive or editorial.
Those are not different. Yeah, no, those are not mutually exclusive. So the feedback agreement, from what we've seen, a contributor who has a closed CLA will ask for feedback, right? And so to provide feedback, the person providing the feedback will sign the feedback CLA, and then that information will flow. Now, what the second part of that is, yeah, there's no these are all under advisement, right? So there's no requirement that you must react to any specific feedback, and that's true of open CLAs. That's not really unique to anything.
It's just that in that case, John, on that front, the customers had been worried about deeper and more substantive feedback, and so they had suggested that suppliers execute that. I was just, part of that in the storage project, so I observed that. I think on SDC, I think people should just send us feedback. I don't, as you guys have seen from our spec, it's not super deep, I wouldn't say, from an IP perspective. And so we welcome feedback, but if it gets to where contributors worry there's some IP concerns or whatnot, and there's a deeper set of input, it's just making sure that people that receive the feedback can utilize it in updating the spec moving forward is the key thing.
Okay, yeah. Thanks for the clarification. That part I understand.
And we have a similar, if it's desired, the GPU workstream, we have a 1-pager if you want to see that from that one. That's kind of like what Tiago did, but we, if that's something people want to see. But we are happy to get people's feedback, and we're excited that all 7 companies are going to support the academic funding moving forward into 2025, because as you guys know, academic research takes a little bit long, it's not done in a day. And so we're excited for moving forward and look forward to your feedback. And one of the key things that Tiago touched on in the white paper, SDC, it's fundamentally with AI, there's still chips, it's still the same type of mechanisms, but we may have new developers that maybe aren't as familiar with SDC like you have with people in the HPC type of space. And so we're just trying to bring best practices to that set of developers is what the team has been starting to focus on.
And I had a question on academic engagement. Do we know whether, I'm sure they're interested in publishing their research and papers. Are we keeping track of those?
Yeah, absolutely. We've been asking, towards the end of the year, we got a 2-pager update from each of the academics to understand progress. And at least one of the academics has a paper moving forward that should be public relatively soon. Do you know, Tiago, if that paper is public, that we can mention it or not? I forget.
I don't think so. I think they were going for a conference, and it's not there yet.
Okay, but yes, we're very aware that you guys will start to see from many of the academics if publications, and we're happy to highlight that as we continue forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, all of them are expected to publish, and we put no constraints in their publishing.
Yep, we're very much encouraging them. We want to see the outcome of the research funding be in the public domain is definitely our preference so that we can move the industry forward in this area.
Yeah, that's good to hear, Amber and Tiago.
So,
Okay.
so if a paper is published, say in IEEE, would it be available in general as open as OCP contributions, or it will be, as per the IEEE rules?
We can't.
Probably publication, and some of them ask for a period of exclusivity, especially leading to the publication or the conference. Usually after that, the researcher is free to publish it again, and we'll ask. But again, since this is all unrestricted donations, we can't enforce anything. We just think that they will, right? And once they do, we will share with everybody, and we would probably publish on OCP blog saying, hey, here's the result of year one, great work by these universities, here are their papers.
Okay. Right, I think we need to move on. Thanks, Tiago, Amber, for the update. Anybody has any other question on this topic? Okay. All right, let's go to the next one. Let me share. This is Charter for Consolidated Boot and Management Interface for Extreme. Casper, do you want to give an update on this?
Yes. Let me maybe. Do you want me to share that document?
Sure.
All right. So yeah. So in the last meeting we presented the consolidated boot and management interface. One of the requests for a new work stream. One of the ARs that we got was to come up with a better name, and the proposal right now is Open Boot and Management Framework, OBMF. And this is the proposal to add into the hardware management charter to cover this work stream. And the charter, we discussed that in the presentation last time. It's just more it covers the same bullets that we had in the slides, and just adds more a little bit more verbiage for the purpose of charter. And as you might remember, with this new work stream, we want to define an interface and a unified protocol between the DCSCM and the devices on the HBM that DCSCM is used to manage and boot, which includes host processor, CPU, and other bootable or non-bootable devices such as PCI cards, CXL cards, and so on. And the specification shall meet the following requirements that we also discussed last time, that it should be a host processor CPU vendor agnostic. So what we want to achieve is we want to define a protocol that allows BMC to boot the device following known methods like streaming boot specification without the use of proprietary or vendor-specific interfaces. We want to be able to boot any of the compliant devices with the same method. It should also be applicable to non-DCSCM use cases. So it says that it's mostly defining a protocol that is consistent in addressing those use cases, not specifically tying to dedicated choice of electrical interfaces or physical interfaces. It should be reusable for PCIe cards, CXL cards. As you know, those streaming boot specifications are, as an example, also targeting the extension cards or peripheral cards devices. So we want it to be compliant as well. The protocol of choice is DMTF based, most likely MCTP, or the versions that we're working right now on is MCTP and PLDM based. We also want to prescribe a set of DCSCM interfaces. Again, the protocol is interface agnostic, but we already know what DCSCM can support. So we want to define the most or typical DCSCM applications. And another requirement is, as we know, those devices that on the HPM, like CPU or other bootable devices, we need to provide a way to allow for vendor extensions within the protocol scope. So that's also one of this protocol requirements. And I already mentioned that we want to leverage OCP standards, like I said, DCSCM, streaming boot, MHS specs, and for protocol layers, the MTF standards. The scope of this new work stream is to define this new protocol and define, what are the use cases, APIs, various states of platform transition flows that it is applicable to, formats of messages encoding, security requirements, and the alignment and reuse or changes needed in the existing DMTF specifications. We also, in the scope of this new specification, new work stream, will be the definition of firmware requirements and how the protocol is initialized and used in those typical applications. Of course, any additional details and documents, interoperability requirements, and requirements that are tied to the usage of this new protocol within the existing modular hardware specifications, like those defined by the MHS and the CSCM, but also the streaming boot for flashless boot defined by OCP, and also the MTF specifications, as we might need to have some requirements for changes in those DMTF specifications. And out of scope is a specific firmware implementation or any electrical compliance requirements, like I mentioned before, that we don't want to prescribe it for a typical, just a specific one physical interface. It should be protocol that is agnostic from physical interface and just follows the standardized DMTF methodology of binding to various physical interfaces without changes in the protocol layers.
So, question. Are you going to deal with the security aspects of this, or is that going to be referenced to the security project?
Yeah, so there's no, we want to address the security requirements here, especially that it applies to the boot, but we don't want to define a new security solutions. We will most likely refer to existing specifications, and like typically I'm expecting the review with security project or check with security project whether the specification meets all the requirements.
Hey, you might, just to let you guys know, I've kind of put together the security project, the DCSCM folks and the OPF folks. I asked them to kind of jointly collaborate and work together. They all have different scope. They're all doing something a little different, but ultimately they're all kind of touching the same pieces. And I would kind of recommend that you guys just be acquainted with what they're working with too. Just kind of integrate and see what they're doing and make sure everything is good. That way, there's no interoperability surprises.
Yeah, understood.
And that would make in this charter, we don't have a section of who to work with. But if they read this, I want them to know, hey, we'll come talk to you at some point.
Yeah. I think mentioning what in terms of charter, and scope, we'll use existing specs for for security, and we'll leverage that stuff, et cetera, et cetera. We'll not define new security methodologies.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, I would explicitly list both those things
All right.
in the specs. Because that's an area where if people start going rogue on us, this becomes untenable, right?
Okay.
Good to be able to point to the charter and rub their nose in it.
Yeah. So I think we reviewed this. Let me ask here, anybody has any question for Casper? Because next step, we can just do the approval. Okay. Then let me ask any objection to approving the charter for CBMF or CBMF, right? That's the name we.
Now,
Oh,
OBMF,
OBM, sorry,
Open
OBM.
Boot and Management Framework.
Okay. Okay. If no objection, then this charter is approved. Casper, do you mind sending link to this
Yeah.
document? So we'll add
Uh,
that notes.
Yes, I will.
And Jeff, if we can, I know you're typing the notes. Let's add reviewed and approved the charter to the notes.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, our next topic is John, you have this presentation. Let me share. This is Charter for Hardware Management Project, subproject and subprojects and workstream. Do you want to share the presentation? Go over it. John?
We'll go ahead and share, but you have to unshare. It won't let me
Yes,
take it.
I'll share.
Okay, you see this?
Yes, we see it.
Okay, so this is the charter diagram for the hardware management project. The grays we don't deal with, we just know they exist. The blues are subprojects and the yellows are work streams. So we have every beginning of every year we go through a charter to understand, make sure we don't have charter overlap and exclusion. And so in the subsequent pages, we're going to go through each one of these. I know that there are members of GPU management workstream here, and so I think we should probably go into that as opposed to going through what we kind of know and love. So the AR from the last meeting was to create a open GPU management workstream to deal with some of the interoperability issues that we were seeing with the current version 1.0 draft, 1.0 contribution from the GPU management workstream. I believe it is actually what we want is actually up here. So we only care about the redfish portion of it, not necessarily the underlying PCMI MCTP PLDM portion of it. So let me go down to there. Oops. Where did we go? GPU. So the proposal was to create a redfish interface for managing general GPUs. And this profile would be backward compatible with version 1.0 specifications. And this profile, GPU profile, would extend from the component baseline profile. That's a new profile we're working on, which is basically what is the baseline across all components. So we have a baseline for platforms, which we've had for quite a while, which is the common manageability across all OCP platforms. And so the component baseline is common manageability across all components. This is at the Redfish level. Okay, so in thinking about this, it was actually unclear whether this workstream would actually write a specification or whether it would write supplemental documents to address issues that we found, in the version 1.0 specifications that need to be clarified. So,
Yeah,
go ahead. I was going to ask if Amber and Bhushan want to do the discussion at this point.
Yeah, I think, John, what I would recommend is, let us take this back. I know Hari from Microsoft is also working with you to make sure that this is in order, right? And then it would be awesome if we can have those discussions together as a group to make sure we are on the right path. But our biggest point over here is we are moving very fast. And so we want to keep moving very fast as we take care of these things in the background.
Okay. Yeah, the fact that you're moving fast is abundantly clear. So I just want to make sure that that the things you're scratching at going, guys, there's going to be interoperability problems in the future. We have to solve them. And so instead of slowing you guys down,
we're just trying to keep up with the cadence. So if we can get some of the GPU suppliers to slow the cadence, we would love to slow down.
Understood. We just, I think most of us have standards backgrounds, and we know what will happen if we are a little vague on something. People will make arbitrary decisions on how to go implement, and that causes interoperability problems later on.
100%. We would like to address that type of thing. I'll include the mailing list. I just sent out the SDC one. I'll dig up the one for GPU and put that in the chat as well.
I have it handy. I'll paste it right now.
So John, I guess to at least harp on the interop issue that you're raising, if you go back to one of the other slides that had the nice diagram of the layer cake of where things interconnect. So there's Redfish. This is not very helpful. I'd say the issue I'm seeing is not with Redfish presented by that GPU tray itself. It's the northbound beyond that when you integrate it all together as a cohesive solution. That's where we're seeing the interop challenges. I think when you look at the tray itself and the Redfish implemented on that tray, it's fairly interoperable today, as far as I can tell. But John, I guess you want to corral that into the existing profile work stream to ensure that things are aligned with other components.
Yeah. So
Okay.
so the fact that it deals with the system level is once we launch this work stream, we'll get together and figure out what problem we're actually trying to solve, right? Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I know I've given this feedback already to the GPU hyperscaler group.
Right. So now we have an open forum to go ahead and address those particular issues. Okay. So with that,
yeah, so John, thanks for this. Also, in terms of updating our charter, it's been a while, right? So Jeff and I, we need to take things from this slide deck and make sure that updated charter is reflected on our web page as well as in our charter document. So Jeff, can you in the notes add an action for you and I to update the charter? John, what's your suggestion? We start with this deck in here, and then I think you have captured at least current state here, right?
Right. So this is the charter for the GPU management workstream that we want to start we can, go ahead and approve that charter and go ahead and initiate the work stream. And right now, the charter for the hardware management project was done when it was young and didn't have too many sub-projects underneath it. Now it's become larger and much more unwielding. So I think I had consolidated everybody's charter into one giant document. I think it's time to break that apart and have each group have its own charter, and they can modify it and come back and change it as they will. And we don't have to modify a single document.
Hey, John, we also want to talk about a little bit about the CLA opening proposal that was made to Hari, right? Let me know when we're good time to talk about that would be.
Oh, we can talk about that now because my understanding, and Bejan, do you want to talk about it? I believe at this point, chartering of closed CLAs groups are being done by OCP staff.
Yes.
Sorry, was that a hint to Bijan to talk about it? Sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, Michael and Rob and I, we'll set you guys up.
Who was that to?
I guess to whoever was that
So
Busan?
Bijan, I think it was Bhushan, just trying to
Yeah.
clarify. I think this comes back to what we discussed about I think the update is foundation staff for private CLAs will end up being the ones that work through with the team members for those CLAs. Is that, I think, what John was looking for your update, maybe?
Yeah, yeah, sorry. So I was thinking of a different angle. Apologies. Yeah, no, so the way that we want to work through this is that if you have a closed CLA, then bring it to Michael, Rob, and I in the foundation, and we'll help you guys get set up and provide you all the tools that you need. And that way we can kind of continue to work in parallel. We don't have any interdependencies that slow anybody else down.
So I just want to highlight that's a change to the process that was rolled out 2 months ago. And I want to make sure that the rest of SC right, here's the message that it's being changed. That before we were going to have all our work streams and go through chartering via the project leads. And the current decision, which changes that, is that if you're a close CLA, your chartering will come through OCP staff.
Correct. I think
Right.
Michael's we have a session on that during the next SC meeting.
Okay, wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful. So given that, when I look at this diagram, do we even need to list them? Because I have the same issue with server component resilience. You guys are doing great work, but I can just highlight you with a different color, saying, hey, there's work being done in this space. It's being done by a close CLA group.
Yeah, my feedback to Bijan on that topic, it's a great question, John, is that, I mean, I think we still want to make sure that we're providing updates as contributions are getting ready, whether it's a 0.5 or a 0.7 or whatever version or whatever's going on, like with the academic research, to this community of experts and invite feedback. But so we're not trying to, how is the best way to do that? So maybe there's still periodic, hey, this is what's going on, but totally, however you want to work through that, we could work on that offline.
Yeah,
Okay.
and John, you and I had talked a little bit about that too. And my view was it was better to have visibility for the whole community, right? So I don't know if you want to change your diagram, put dash lines around it, whatever you want to do,
Yeah.
but I think it's important to have it highlighted.
I have color coding already right up here.
Yeah.
So I just have to swap the coding color.
Yeah, and I think if you do that, John, also maybe we will also restructure here. But if the periodic thing, Amber, you were talking about, if we can get it at least on monthly or every other month kind of basis here on this call, where this is open to everybody, that'll be good.
Yeah, I think it'd probably be, my guess is every other month, things aren't changing. I mean, things are changing, but not that rapidly. So we can just work offline with scheduling what makes sense.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks,
So,
John.
so with that, oops, sorry. So with that, I think there's one other charter which we had changed. So these haven't changed much.
Mhm.
The management profile hasn't changed much. This auxiliary one, I like to extend it to include hardware designs since we had the contribution for a auxiliary management controller add-in card. That I think the original work stream was just the software aspects of it. So I've added this review hardware design. Okay. And then I believe the last one was cloud service model.
I think this is
think
what we
Jim,
want to discuss. Yeah, Jim is here, then we want to discuss because this came from him. Is Jim on the call?
right.
I am on the call.
Yeah.
Is Sammy on the call? I see a Sam. I don't know if that's Sammy. I am on the call.
Yeah, go ahead. I think let's quickly have a few minutes discussion on this, what you propose.
Okay. I'm just looking at what John has posted. My version is a little bit edited with grammar, but this is substantially what the email that I sent you guys. So the cloud services model group met on the 7th of February. And we've been discussing what we would deliver in 2025. We tried to fashion it in terms of charter in the same kind of style and level of abstraction as the other sub-project charters that we saw on the various wiki pages. And so here are the 4 things that we think we want to explore, the topic areas we want to explore and write, and the main deliverable would be white papers in these areas. Number 1 is just the architectures, protocols, and data models that communicate hardware information across the networks. I think this is aligned with the picture that John showed previously, I think on slide 1 of this deck. Number 2, we recognize that there are existing communication protocols and mechanisms. They may not be particularly suited to scale up to hyperscaler or large data centers. So we want to be able to we want to be able to analyze those and then interact with the standards bodies that own those particular mechanisms. Number 3, there's a lot of interest in the group about looking at the particular management challenges that might be associated with new technologies, and I don't really have any detail on that that I could share with you right now. And then finally, predictive models that forecast how various aspects of hardware systems might affect the financial performance of a data center, both on the revenue side and the cost side. And actually, I gave a talk at the OCP Global Summit, which was pretty much covering or the subject matter was that 4th bullet you see. So we already at least have some exposure to the community. And so we agreed to this these things. We think these are appropriate for our charter, and I'm asking this group to review and approve them.
Okay. So I think this is good, Jim. We got the charter proposal from you. What I would suggest in the interest of time, that we will have people review it and then we can do approval in next meeting.
Okay.
All right. Thanks. Anybody has any question for Jim? Okay. John, if you can unshare, then I can share the agenda.
Okay, done.
Okay. So we got manageability profile workstream update. John, I see Jeff is already typing. Do you have anything to cover there?
I'm on mute. Sorry. Yeah, we do. John, do you want to, or Hemel, if you can just click on that task list.
Yeah. So go ahead, Jeff.
Let's go ahead, John.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So basically, we have a whole bunch of profiles which are currently in draft under the folders, and normally the only way to take them up to the root is that we submit it as a contribution to OCP, and that's done via the usage guide. So at the very top, it tells you usage guides is what people actually want to read. They don't want to read JSON. We get the usage guide approved. The usage guide points to the profile. All these profiles are in various stages, almost being ready. And we have to get them approved by the individual projects before we elevate them to released. What you will notice is that I have not actually put hardware management as an approval entity, except for the baseline and then for the Redfish service baseline. And the other ones all go directly to their projects. Yeah. They approved, which means they will go reference it in whatever document they want to reference in there, and that's sufficient to take back up to the SC to say we have a profile, we have a use guide, we have someone who actually wants to reference it, and so that's the basis of the actual contribution.
Yeah,
And so
these as many of these have been sitting out for a while, so I want to bring these all to a conclusion. So I want to work this in parallel because we need to get that content approved by the, as John said, by the other sub projects that actually own those those various device types. But in parallel, I want us to, as hardware management, to say, yeah, look, we're good with this content. If it's approved by the by those other sub projects, then we're good to have them contributed. So I will send out a we'll send out an email.
You can send out an email. Yeah, Jeff.
Yeah, so and point to that. So and ask for everyone to first and foremost review the requirements in the profiles themselves, which you can see in the documents, but it's all in the now what's called Appendix A, the profile content, because that's really what the point is to make sure we have the requirements correct. And then really secondarily, and I speak for myself because I still have some homework to do on adding some more text into the usage guide to explain what those requirements are for. So yeah, if people have comments on that, but for the subject matter experts here as management folks, please look at the profile requirements to make sure that we're setting the requirements are all set the way we expect. With the intent that I want us as hardware management to approve all of these at our next meeting, to say that, look, as long as the other subgroups for that subject matter, as long as they approve it and want to leverage it, then we can contribute these.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Jeff. Jeff and John, anything else on manageability profile workstream?
Nope, that's it.
Let's move on to next one. RAS API workstream. Yogesh, do you have any update?
Hey, Emil, no, nothing major. We restarted the meeting and we had a alignment with all the major vendors and hyperscalers, so going good.
Okay, cool, thanks. AMC workstream, do we have anybody from that workstream on the call? Okay, so we'll skip that. Cloud service model, we already went over Jim's proposal, and then we will look for approval in next meeting. Hardware fault management, Yogesh, do you have any update?
No, again, same, nothing major, going well. Working on finishing up the in-band version of the requirement stock. So.
Okay. Do we have Han? Then next one is OpenRMC DM subproject. Yeah, go
Yes,
ahead.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So we have changed the schedule of our February meeting to next week due to some presenter available schedule. So for offline, we received some feedback regarding additional use case to considering for to the usage guide. So basically, it's a really wide coverage on the use case regarding different type of the RMC, different aggregation layer, and also the telemetry. Also, there's a request to covering beyond the rack, considering redundancy on the RMC and also the scale domain. So we're gonna have a a deep discussion of the next monthly meeting. Yeah. So this is the major update.
Okay, thanks, Sean. Last one is on cooling environment. Anybody has any update? Okay. So before we go, John, one thing in that document you were, the presentation you were sharing, can you also update the ones we have the approved charter or ones we still need to approve? Because Jeff and I would like to, in next meeting, go over the remaining workstream charters which are not yet approved. Just run through the approvals. John?
Looks like he had to drop.
Right? No,
Okay.
I'm still here. I stepped away. Why? I mean, yes, I can go through the rest of them
Okay,
next meeting.
all right, sounds good. All right, thanks, everyone. We have reached end of our meeting time here, 9:01, so thanks for joining. Good updates from everybody.
Thanks, folks.
Y'all have a
Another
great day.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks,
Thank you, Ron.
everyone.
Hey there.